What's going on, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. If you are new here in today's video, we are going to do our March budget closeout. So March was financially, it was an okay month. It was a stable month. I did have an issue with my electric bill, and I will talk to you about that. And I'm not the only one. I noticed that Melissa from Budgeting Over 40, she had an issue. Um, and this is the reason why I do not do auto payments. I cannot. I mean, I understand a lot of people, they do the auto payments and they're comfortable with doing the auto payments. But when you have companies pulling stunts like the stunt that the electric and gas company that Melissa, um, that she has her business with, and what DTE did to me, or did not just me, but they did it to a lot of consumers. This is why I don't do auto payment. I don't know about anybody else, but I thoroughly go through my bills, and a lot of times I do miss some stuff, and I will admit it. But for the most part, I do go through and scrutinize every last one of my bills. And recently I found a problem with my electric bill, but we will get to that. Excuse me, you guys. I do apologize. I don't know what's going on. It is early. Hopefully, me taking a sip of my coffee would help. But anyway, we are going over my budget plan, or my budget for the month of March, to see um, where I'm at, to see if everything got paid or is getting paid. And let's use a different color. Let's use the blue one. Yeah. All right. So this is what we are going to do. Let me draw a line here. So I budget for each month $3,120 for my bills. Again, this is not my entire paycheck. It is the majority of my paycheck, but it is not the entire paycheck. It's just what I budget to pay my bills. Over here where it says saving an emergency fund deposit, I have $60 a month deposited from my paychecks, um, deposited into my emergency fund from my paycheck. So that's $30 a month. And then I do have a personal savings fund where I have $10 a paycheck going in there, which is $20 a month. And there's another account that I don't have listed here where I have, I believe, another $10 per check going there. So that's an additional $20, but I don't really count that one. The only two that I count is my emergency fund and my savings fund, because the savings fund is for me. Excuse me. It is for me. This is where I will be taking the money that I have saved and going to treat myself, and hopefully getting a new hair color, a new cut, something I'm going to do for my 50th birthday. But anyway, with these two, there was a total of $80 that got deposited for the entire month of March. And I know to some people that seems small, but you know what? When it's constantly adding up and you don't touch it, it's good. I don't even log in to look at these to see how much is in these accounts. The last time I logged in is when I put $200 in my emergency fund. That was early February. I have not logged in to none of this, so I don't know what's in these accounts at this point. As long as it's a positive, I'm good. Anyway, mortgage. So this would be my April mortgage. Like I said, I pay my mortgage with my last paycheck. I pay my mortgage for the next month with my last paycheck of the current month. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is a done deal, because I can't even go out. I can't log into the account and cancel this. If I needed to cancel it, I would have to call them, but I'm not canceling this out. Now, as far as my utilities is concerned, why did I put 445? Let's see. Water bill was 75. Nope, let's do it this way. 445. Subtract water, subtract AT&T, subtract 190 for consumers, $85. Okay. So what I budgeted for my for my utilities is not what I paid. I ended up paying more than that. So I paid $77.71 on my water bill. Okay. I paid $95 on my electric bill. I paid $95 on my consumer's energy bill twice. All right. And what am I missing? My AT&T bill. So I paid $457.71. So I paid a little bit more, $12.71 more on my utility bills. Now, the reason that I ended up paying more, I paid more on my electric bill. No, I paid more on my gas bill because my previous bill, it was $200. And in the last 2 years, I have not had a gas bill that high. And part of it was because I had to use my dryer more than I thought when I did my laundry at the laundromat. I typically will just wash my clothes. As long as I have a dryer, I will use the washer at the laundromat and I will come home and use my dryer. Well, in this instance, each load, and I had 4 loads, each load I had to run through the dryer twice. Um, Not to say that my dryer is going out, because it's not. It blows some good heat, but for whatever reason, I didn't think to do what I used to do back in the day when I was living at home and our washer went out. I used to allow put my clothes in the dryer for like 10 to 15 minutes at the laundromat and then come home and finish them off, which they wouldn't need to be in the dryer no more than another maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I forgot to do that. So that increased my gas usage. On top of that, I was doing a lot of meal prepping, using my oven quite a bit within that particular month. So that is why I ended up having to pay a little bit more on my gas bill. Not to mention they did increase something else. So I'm trying to stay caught up with them, which I am. I still have a credit on my accounts, on all of my utility accounts, but trying to chase the gas portion because it's been so cold, and then my having to use my dryer more than I had anticipated initially, when I first went to the laundromat to do my laundry. That kind of threw me for a loop, but I was still able to cover that cost. Car insurance. My car insurance payment is actually $152 and I'm sorry, $156. I'm getting numbers backwards. I'm not, I feel like my voice just does not want to wake up. I'm not getting sick. Let me drink some more coffee. Okay. So my car insurance for the new policy is $156.21. My car payment, she is not going nowhere, but I can say that I can finally see that my car payment is going down. That's $479.02. My debt payments, I budgeted $620, but I paid more than that. I just got to find the paper where I wrote how much I paid. So I paid $620, but on top of that $620, I paid an additional $231.40. So in total, I paid $851.40 on my credit card debt, and a big portion of this went to the credit card that I'm focused on paying off this year. Student loan payment was $20. Oh, let me put what this was an increase of. This was an increase of $231.40. Okay. So my total fix of what I actually paid, 1055 plus 457.71, 156.21, 479.02, $851.40 plus 20 is $3,019.34. Okay. All right. So that's how much I spent in my bills: car payment, car insurance, mortgage, utilities, debt payments, student loan. That is how much I paid for the month of March. Now we're going to go down as far as my fixed expenses. So now we're going to go down to our variable expenses, and we're looking at gas, which was $80. We're looking at groceries, which I'm drawing a line through that simply because I did not have to spend any money out of my budget for groceries, which is a good thing. And then my subscriptions are $39.97. I'll explain to you why I didn't have to spend any money out of my spend any money for my groceries in a second. So $80 plus $39.97 is $119.97. So you add the $119.97 with the $3,019.34. We are looking at $3,139.31. You subtract that from my budgeted amount, that's $19.31. Is that right? Hold on. 3139.31. Subtract 31. Yeah. $19.31. Y'all, when I tell you, I don't care how you do your budget, it's always going to look crazy every single month. It's always going to look crazy every single month. When you look at my budgeted remaining income of $28.01, my actual budgeted remaining income says $19.31. And that ain't even what's in my account. What's in my account is way more. As far as the budget is concerned, as far as the budgeted amount of money is concerned. But you know what? All of my bills are paid. So I'm good. That's a blessing from God. Now let me go back to the groceries. So the reason that I drew a line through groceries, and I didn't know this at the beginning of the month when I did this, but the reason I drew a line through groceries is because I had a pot of money from my tax refund that I purposely set aside. It was about $400, between $400 and $500, that I purposely set aside to do a big grocery haul, specifically of things that I could freeze, and that was more so of meat. So what I did, and I do have a video. You should have, by the time you see this video, that video will show up the next day. Excuse me, a couple days after this video, but it is my grocery haul, and it's typically things that I buy on a weekly basis at the grocery store, but it also includes things that I purchase once a quarter from Costco. And that's where this comes into play, because I purchase certain things from Costco once a quarter, and then everything else I'll purchase at the grocery store, whether it's Kroger or Meijer, on a weekly basis if needed, such as fresh produce, vegetable, canned corn or canned green beans if I can't find fresh ones, spinach, salads, milk, cheese, stuff like that, eggs, turkey bacon. Excuse me, you guys. I am so sorry, but turkey bacon or turkey breakfast sausage or something like that. Those are the things that I will purchase on a regular basis at the grocery store or on a weekly basis at the grocery store. But things like chicken breast, ground turkey, premier protein, ground chicken, lean ground beef. I typically get that if I can't, I typically get it at Costco. And if I can't get it at Costco, then I can stock up on those things either from Kroger or Meijer. And that's what you will see in that video. So this is why I did not include this $200 in my budget, my actual budget for the month, because I knew that I quite possibly would set aside some money from my tax refund to do this purchase. Now, let me go back up to my electric bill, my utilities. So, what ended up happening is that my electric company, DTE, I made a $95 payment as I normally, well, I increased it to $95. First of all, let me go back. So, March 6th, when I got paid, the first pay of March, I paid my DTE bill of $95. Okay. I normally pay 90, but I paid 95 because of course they increased their prices. Like all of these people do. They're just greedy C-suite people that don't care that folks are struggling to pay whatever. They just want to put extra money in there. Okay, let me get off of that. Anyway, so I ended up increasing it from $90 to $95. So I made that payment on March 6th. March 8th at like 5 in the morning, I received an email from DTE telling me that my payment was going to be declined, but that it was no issue with my banking information or anything like that, that it was a processing issue on their end and that I had to resubmit. So I ended up seeing it at 5 in the morning, like I said, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm tripping. I went back to sleep and I woke up a couple hours later, got my coffee, and looked at the email again and I said, huh? So I logged into my email on my computer because I was looking at it on my phone. I was like, maybe I'm looking at something wrong. It said the same thing. So my first thought was that this was a scam. So I was not about to sit there and submit my payment again. I wasn't going to do it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna call him on Monday. So I called on Monday, y'all. I was on hold for like 45 minutes. So I just hung up. Okay. My intentions were to call back, but I just hung up. So I said, if they are that busy all of a sudden, then this must be real. So I went on ahead and submitted my payment, just prayerfully hoping that it wasn't a scam. So I resubmitted that $95 payment. So I called my mother and I told her, I said, listen, when you pay your DTE bill, let me know if it's still saying that there are some processing issues. Because what they're telling me is that because they recognize there was some processing issues, that I won't be charged any late fees or anything like that. I told her to let me know. So a week later, she paid her bill and she said they did mention that there was some processing issues the week before, but everything has been taken care of. So I said, okay. I get I I got my quarterly budget wise billing plan notice, and I knew that was going to go up. So it's going up from $82 to $87. So it's going up $5. So I received that on the 16th. I normally get my electric bill on the 13th of the month. Okay. It's due on the 6th, but I get the bill on the 13th of the month. So by the 16th, I still hadn't received my bill. So I went online because I knew the bill had already been ran. I went online to look and it said, okay, well, you still have a credit, but your bill for the month was $119 and some change. So I said, okay, $119. I don't know about you all, but I scrupulously go through my bill. I look, y'all, I go through my bills. When it gets to that section of your bill, I don't know how your bills are set up, but I'm gonna try to show a picture of how our bills are set up. Once you get past, hey, this is how much you owe. You know, this is how much you owe. This is what you paid on such and such date. Yada yada yada. The next one, the next sheet, or you continue to scroll down. It gives you your breakdown of the kilowatts usage. I scrolled down to the bottom of the bill, and it said that I was charged a $15 bank return fee. So I said, wait a minute, they were supposed to take that off. So I called DTE, and I knew whoever I was gonna get, they had already probably been cussed out multiple times because people don't know how to get out of their emotions when they're talking to folk, when they're trying to get a resolution to their bill. I learned years ago, when you're calling the company to try to help you take care of your bill, to get yourself on a payment plan or see what they can do, you don't talk nasty to these people. You don't, because 9 times out of 10, they're going through the same thing you're going through. They just learned you can't talk nasty to them. And the reason I say that is because while I was waiting, there was an automated message that said, we like to talk. We want to help you, but we have to speak in a respectable and adult manner. That is crazy that you got to say that. I seen that when I had my outpatient surgery. They had a note up there at the nurses, the check-in station, where they were saying, if you're going to talk nasty or be rude and get disrespectful, we don't have to serve you, and we're not going to serve you, and we're going to call the police on you. I'm like, and they told me, they said, yeah, it gets real ugly around here. And I know who they're talking about too. I mean, and it's anybody, but you in that particular area, I knew exactly the type of people that they were talking about. But when you're the one that did something and you need help to fix what you messed up, you don't talk to people nasty. If you didn't pay your bill last month and you get your new bill this month and it's 80, 90, $100 higher than it was last month, you don't get mad at the people when you're calling them to help you figure out a plan. You don't get upset with them. You don't get to hollering and screaming and getting all ugly and getting all emotional. You don't do that. They're there to help you, and they have the choice whether they can help you or not. So you got to be respectful. Like you want somebody to respect you, you got to respect them. They have a job to do. Anyway, I made sure, because I've listened to myself talk to people over 20 years ago, and I heard how nasty I was. I say no way in the world that I would want to help somebody like me if the roles were reversed. There's absolutely no way. So I learned how to talk to people, especially when I'm the one in need of something, whether it's clarification on the bill, whether I need them to help me, you put me on a payment plan, or whatever the case may be. Anyway, this lady comes on the phone. She's real nice and sweet. I hear for her name, and I go ahead on and I just say, hey, I'm doing fine, such and such. My name, Desiree, yada, 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 yada. I said, I have a question about my bill because I'm confused. And, you had to give certain information to identify that it was you. And she said, okay, what's the issue? And I said, well, I made this payment. It, it I got an email saying it was kickback. I told her flat out I thought it was a scam, so I wasn't about to do it again. I said, but I called, that Monday. I was on hold for 40 some odd minutes, yada yada yada. So I just took the chance to go ahead on and make the payment. And I said it did say that I was not going to be charged a late fee or be charged any type of return bank fee charge or whatever. I said, however, as I'm looking at my bill, I was charged an extra $15. And she said, oh, no, that should have come off. And so she looked at my bill again and she said, oh, no. She said, how in the world did they miss you? She said, oh, you got missed. So she said, let me take that off right now. So she took the $15 off. However, the bill had already been generated. So I can't see the change on the current bill. It is still sitting there, but I know it has been removed. Again, I have a credit on this account. So it's really not that big of a deal. But at the same time, it is. So I pay attention to my bill. She did take it off, and did inform me that it was somebody else had the same issue, and she had the same issue. She said, I work here and my payment got declined. And she was like, I was trying to figure out what happened. And apparently it happened overnight on a Friday night into um not Friday, yeah, Friday night into Saturday at some point, because she said she received a text message Saturday morning stating that there were issues with the processing of payments, and she was one of the ones that were affected. And she was like, I thought it was a scam too, because she said, I work here and nobody said anything before I left work. And yeah, it was, yeah. Y'all, the point of all of that long drawn out story, read your bills from the top to the bottom. Because the one thing I can guarantee you is that these companies, especially them folks up in the C suite, they are hoping you don't pay attention to those extra charges, especially if you have auto pay. You're not paying attention to those extra charges. And then, you're just swiping your card or whatever while you're out doing your shopping, and then you wonder why you $15 short, $20 short. And you go look through all your bills and you find out your electric bill, you got charged an extra $15 for something and you didn't even know about it. They are banking on people not really going through their bills. So that lets me know that there are a lot of people out there, whether you are on auto pay, whether or not, you just go ahead on and pay what they say is due on your bill, that you don't look at your bill carefully. This is how you end up spending more money than necessary. Um, and this is how they get you. This is how they make extra money. This is how they make extra money. Had I not looked at that, because I always scroll down and look at my kilowatts usage. Had I not looked at that, I would have never known that them jokers charged me an extra $15 and said that it was a bank return fee. And that does not look good on your account. That's the other thing. That does not look good on your account with that company, because they look at that, and I learned this years ago. They look at that as you don't keep enough money in your account to pay this bill. So if you do this one too many times, we can cancel you out from using your checking account and you will have to use another method to pay your bill. I learned that years ago, y'all. So anyway, that's it. That is the end of my monthly budget. We are still in the black or in the green, or however you want to call it. Even though it's yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. It's what, $9 and some change different, $8 and some change different. It's no big deal, but I know we're good. So you all, with that, we're gonna end this video. And I will see you in my next budgeting video. I'll talk to you all later. But y'all, I'm sitting here waving my hand like y'all could see me. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.